Welcome to Beauty as a Birthright, a podcast that explores awakening our six senses: touch, smell, sight, hearing, taste, and intuition through embodied Daoist practices. I'm Dr. Tamsin Lee, a Daoist metaphysical expert and founder of Elemental Archetypes, sharing face reading, Batsa astrology, and seasonal living.
And I'm Dr. Paige Yang, owner of an integrative health clinic in Honolulu and founder of Yang Face, a culturally appreciative Chinese facial tool brand. Join us on our personal journeys as we navigate the complexity of inner, outer, and relational beauty. We'll chat about how awakening our beauty through the six senses impacts our relationship to aging, childhood trauma, romantic relationships, motherhood, dating, careers, and so much more.
Let's awaken our senses and explore beauty as a birthright. Hi everyone, just a heads up for a content warning. In this episode, we talk about domestic and sexual violence. If those topics are sensitive to you, skip this one and we'll see you at the next episode.
Shooting. Oh, we're on.
Yay!
Although we don't know if this is actually going to go through because we've spent the last 53 minutes trying to figure it out.
Oh my God. And we were all hyped that we were going to talk about, like, you know what? Like 40-something-year-olds should be influencers, not these 20-something-year-olds. But then we can't even figure out this simple recording thing. And this is the reason why.
Exactly. Because brands would be losing so much money if an hour passed and like nothing went through on their channels.
Yeah. And then I said like, but the Gen Zs would have made all this like this mistake into 20 different content videos. And that's their gift of and
put like a meme on it and made it hilarious.
Done different cuts, threw in a dance thing, and then would sell you a product. Okay, we are going to talk about social media today, and we're going to talk about social media in terms of aging, different age groups, because that's something that we're exploring. And I just got on TikTok. Paige, you have been on TikTok. You are like my OG TikTok like influencer. And I remember when you first got on it, I think I was seeing the videos on Instagram. It was all the dance videos. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen an acupuncturist do this. I didn't know this is what TikTok was all about. And I was just like, oh my God, Paige is so cool.
Aw. Well, so I've been on it since it came out during the start of COVID.
Really?
And, most because I thought it was hilarious. And at the time, I don't know if that was just my algorithm, but at the time my impression was it was mainly like dancing, like, hence the name TikTok, like a dancing music app that also had a lot of comedy, like short, hilarious comedy sketches. And but I have to say I have been on it in a while, but I'm not necessarily quote unquote good at TikTok. What's been impressing me, Tamsin, is you've recently gotten on it and you are like doing it. You are doing you're good. You had one video that I sent to you and I was like, dang, like basically like, whoa, let's see how this goes. And then you had at the time over 10,000 views. What is it at now? And you want to share what that video was?
What was that? Oh my God. Okay. I don't even know how to explain TikTok. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I think I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've heard such negative things about it, and that's why I remember getting it. I remember looking at it during the pandemic, and then I closed it because I was like, oh, it's moving so fast. I don't know what this is. And then everyone would tell me, like Sandra especially, was like, you got to be on TikTok. Like, there's a lot of people sharing what you're sharing. And I tried it again, and I'm like, it's moving too fast. And this time, I went on it this year because I have one star in my snake year, which is all about like performance, like being the center of stage, communication, humor. It's kind of like the comedian sort of entertainer star, basically, that I don't have anywhere in my natal chart. And so I'm just like, most teachers would say, if this energy comes in, what's the point? Like, you don't even have it, so you don't even know how to use it. But I was like, I don't know, it's still coming in, so might as well just try.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I gotta tell you, I don't know really what works with TikTok, but I think as a monkey, me like testing things out is fascinating to me because I'm like, oh, this is gonna do well on this video, like the, this video that I
Yeah.
spent like 5 days thinking about, this is gonna do well. And then nothing, crickets. And then I'll make a video, literally just something so stupid at the spur of the moment that takes me maybe like a minute and I'll post it and then it just it gets like 12,000, 13,000 like
Yeah.
likes and it's insane. And the video that I posted was it was just me sitting outside on a sunny day and the it's Coachella weekend this past weekend and it was just this caption that said something like watching every Coachella video makes me thankful that I'm 44 years old and nowhere near it, or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, no one's gonna get this. No one's gonna, because that's how I felt. I was watching all this Coachella content, and I was like, no way in hell would I go to this thing.
Yeah.
It sounds awful. Like,
Yeah.
and I am so grateful that like I have no urge to go to this thing, like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I love it for
Right.
them. I love it. I think when you're young, do it, have fun walking that mile in desert heat in your cute outfit. But not for
No, but
me.
you know though that most of the attendees, some ridiculous statistic, are financing their tickets.
Oh,
And like that to me, so speaking of when we first like jumped on here, we were talking about, oh, if I was a brand, I would like invest more in women in their 40s because they have more money and all of that stuff. But yet 20-year-olds are the ones that can be centered, but they're not the ones with the same money or savings. And then I think a really interesting thing is I've been seeing a lot of headlines about how all these tickets have been financed. And it really is a note in our culture of like these young people wanting to go in these very uncomfortable conditions in their cute outfits and they can't afford it. So they
yeah.
would finance it or take out a loan or do a payment plan just to like put yourself through such an uncomfortable weekend just because, whatever it is. Whether or not it's because they truly like the artist or entertainment, or they want to see and be seen, or they want to create content, or they want to say they did it. But it's just a really interesting note on our culture.
Yeah, I
What do
mean
you think about
that's
that?
yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, so basically, for those who didn't quite catch what we're talking about, what I've noticed on TikTok is that a lot of these content creators and influencers are really young. They're in their 20s. There are also older content creators, but they're not influencers, meaning that brands are not paying them. Brands are not giving them free promo. Brands are not taking them on trips to Aspen to create content for them. And brands may invite you to these events, but they're not paying attention to you. And so my whole thing was like, if I was a company, I would actually I would try to reach out to content creators that are in their 40s because these are the people that have money to spend. And then I was wondering, why aren't they reaching out to 40 something year olds? Because I was following this one content creator that does skin, and she was saying that she went to this event and she has a ton of followers. And she went to the table and they were asking like, oh, what do you do? Like, what's your thing? And they didn't know she was like in her 40s because she looks quite young. And once they found out, they just gave her this rude like, oh, okay. And then they just ignored her. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I think it's that thing. Like, I was wondering, I'm like, okay, maybe because kids will actually put their like, they'll be much more risky with their finance
Yeah.
to get something. And with 40 something year olds, we're too smart. Like, we're not going to buy crap that we don't need or crap that's not going to work. Um, and then that makes it hard for those brands because then you really have to say that your product actually works.
Yeah. No, exactly. And the other thing too, along these lines that I was thinking and sharing before we hit record was how I'm not compelled by these young people that are selling skincare or wellness journeys or because I'm like, you're 20. Like
Yeah.
you can do a ton to your body and to your face and still wake up with tight skin, no wrinkles. Like, you go on I remember I would go on like a 1 hour walk and like lose 2 pounds just because I was 20. And it wasn't on purpose. Like I'd be talking with a girlfriend. I'm like, oh, I lost 2 pounds. I just talked to a girlfriend on a walk for an hour. So it's like, I'm not impressed. And why would I be taking advice? But I think
Yeah.
what you just said also hit the nail where it's like, well, because that demographic is going to shell out whether or not they can afford it. And the older one, even though they have money, they might have money because they are smarter and they do know how to like retain assets or invest it in other things. So I guess we kind of answered our like, wait, why question.
I also think like, these content creators, and like my little journey into creating content is I
Mm-hmm.
think I've been doing it a lot on my own when I go outside. So I haven't been with a lot of like friends where I am going to be filming things, but like I film a lot of B-roll stuff because I don't know what I'm going to do with it in terms of editing later. And I can see how that would be very annoying. Like if I'm inviting, like to me, it wouldn't. Like Paige, if you were like, let's go have dinner. And then you're like, I gotta make content. And I'd be like, cool. I'll like, what do you want me to do? You want me to hold the light? Like, because I understand like it's business, it's money, right?
Yeah.
But I can understand people whose business isn't related to that, like how annoying it would be if your friend is constantly filming. But to me, I'm like, it's business. It's my part of my business. And so
Right.
I was wondering also because these creators, these influencers, I mean, they're constantly filming. And so they're pushing out like 5, 6, 10, 12 videos every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people our age can do that or want to do that.
Yeah. I actually want to kind of talk about like metaphysics already.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because
Let's
I
do it.
just was thinking about this and I want to hear from your experience, but first I'll share mine. When I am on my phone and I am on social media, I feel like I am in some kind of time warp
Mm.
where it's almost like a dream, where like you hit snooze, you have like this full dream and it was like 6 minutes passed and you're like, that's impossible. I had this full developed dream. I
Yeah.
feel the same on social media, but it's like this weird vacuum where it takes me out from this time space continuum, like this dimensional plane, and it vacuums me into a different one where time and space are different. And it like takes it actually like it's like I'm gonna start to sound cool, but like it siphons my energy. Like it's taking energy from me. And in my experience, I'm not getting it back. I'm just giving, giving, giving in this quick vacuum in a short amount of time. The proportion of time that I spend in there versus the amount of energy that I feel like it's sucking is very different. Like if I spend 5 minutes on there, I feel like it's sucking like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas if
Oh.
I spent 5 minutes in nature, I feel like it gave me back 15 minutes.
Oh.
This
Woo.
inverse relationship. So, what about you though? Do you have this experience? No, okay, so sorry. This is what I was gonna say about the youth and how they can keep filming, keep filming, keep filming. So based on this, I'm sure if like I was a physicist, I bet there's already these things can somehow be like confirmed in terms of like jumping, like quantum jumping or quantum leaping. But if I live my life where the whole day I was filming it, then technically based on what I'm saying, what I would experience would that my whole life would be sucked like a vacuum and it would just pass me by and it's like not really my own anymore. And suddenly I'm like uploading my consciousness into the metaverse, into the cloud. And like that I feel like is how our conscious like stays forever in this loophole. Whereas I'm trying to break out of it and be free from it. And I don't want my consciousness up on the metaverse or the cloud. But that's what's happening when you're on it all day.
Oh my God, you just dropped a bomb. That's it. That's the end of this episode. Period. Oh my God.
I went going, but like, are you following this? Because your face was like,
I'm totally following this. But my face is like that because I'm just like, I love when you get weird like this. Because Paige, you are just like you know, that the outside does not match the inside. Outside, you're just like such a metal, like well put together. You know, I think like you always have like fancy dinner parties or something, and you're like, I don't want my consciousness in the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Okay, wait. Let me just like, because we're already there, I'm gonna finish it up. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what I feel is that reincarnation, death, and rebirth, it's really because we are chained or prisoners to this cycle, right? Of our consciousness being tethered to this planet system, this system. And so they, meaning the ones in charge that run these, like, you know, meta, which is this interesting how Facebook is now meta with the infinity, meaning you can't get out.
Oh God, we are going into conspiracy theory then. Yeah, let's go.
I feel like they want you to upload your consciousness because you feel like you are achieving a type of immortality because you are going to be forever there. But I think when you do that, then you are like a prisoner to this system, this planet system, and will forever be in the death rebirth cycle, believing that you're going to live forever, quote unquote. But actually the way out is to not like fuse with Neuralink or get an implant or like upload your consciousness to the metaverse by being on these things all day long. That's the only way to break out of the death rebirth cycle so that you can be a traveler of the ethers and not like a prisoner in this planet system. Okay, that was it. That was it. That was it.
You guys, it's just Wednesday.
All right. Tell me what you think, Tamsin.
Dying. Oh my God, I'm crying. Oh God. Wow. Okay. Wait, so I have follow-up questions to clarify things. So for one question is, are you talking about all forms of social media, or is it different for you for Instagram versus TikTok, or are you also on Facebook? Like, does the actual platform, or is it all that you feel the same vacuum feeling?
I think that each platform has a different frequency, right?
Yeah.
So I think in that order, it's like Facebook seems like it has like a slower frequency. And I'm sure if you could like, I'm sure there's terms to this, like theta, alpha, like the wavelengths are different, the vibrational wavelengths. And then Instagram would be faster and TikTok would be the fastest. So that's how I would put it.
Yeah. Do you watch YouTube too? Are you on?
Not that much.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Do you like being on social media? Because you like I said, you're like my OG TikTok influencer in the acupuncture field. And then and I think you do a lot of like different things. So do you enjoy it? I guess do you enjoy making content?
I only enjoy it during my follicular ovulation stage. Come on, Tamsin, we gotta keep bringing it back.
Oh my God, I love this. It's like, you know why I love being friends with you? It's because like I can never predict what you're gonna say. I've come to realize that. Like, I have no idea who you are. Like, after so many years, I don't know if I could describe your personality. It keeps me on my toes. I am never bored. I am like, it's constantly meeting a new person every time we hang out and talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to hear from you because this is exciting as you're recently on TikTok. You have a background in film. You have the star that came in. Like, what is it? What's been your experience when we talk about things in the more metaphysical plane? And then if you're enjoying it and if, like your relationship to it.
Yeah, I do feel the void. Like it does feel like this vacuum where time is just doesn't seem to exist until you log off and you're like, oh my God, it's been an hour. And like, where has it gone? And I have a very addictive personality. So that's something I have to really watch out for, that I'm like, when I was watching, I'm like, can I even see my clock on this thing? Cause like, I don't know where time goes. It's crazy. I kind of have been giving myself a little grace and saying like, well, the time I spend on TikTok, I still feel like I'm in that researching phase. But I do this with everything. When I start something new, I like dive head in, get obsessed, and I just, read or watch or think about, consume it until I figure it out. And so I see, and it's exciting to me to be like, wow, this is how they do it. That's how they do it. What makes this different? What makes that different? And I think it really goes back into film. Like I like the fact that it's tapping into my film background where I get to use basically editing. I think it's crazy that everything I've learned in film school, like anybody can do it if you, or the younger generation just knows how to do it. Like in terms of storytelling, in terms of really good editing, like what makes an edit good? What's a hook? All these things that I spent 4 years studying, they just grew up with it. So the void is definitely real. I have a different perspective. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I have to think about it more. But my first initial reaction as I started like getting into it was I felt like there was a stronger community on TikTok. It's still kind of random, like, and I think part of that has been really healing for me. And I think that's what the younger generation said, especially during pandemic, that's why they feel so closely connected to it. But it's because I see so many people being completely messy and sharing messy stories. And that to me, I'm like, oh my God, like it's definitely helped me with a lot of shame I felt with different trauma that I've had to deal with. And shame is like a big thing. Like I feel ashamed of a lot of traumatic things that have happened to me. And so realizing, oh, it's not just me that experienced this. So many people have experienced this. So nothing about me or my experience is actually special. And that makes me feel good. And then second, it's like, oh, it's not me. Like, and it's okay. And people make mistakes, you still get those commenters who are like, oh my God, I can't believe they're so stupid. They did that. Like, I would never do that. And I see that now in a different way. It's like, man, you haven't really lived because you don't get it, you're so hard on yourself. And I see, and then I also think it exposes a lot of illusions, like illusions around capitalism, illusions around gender, sexuality, all these things that we were led to believe are true. I think TikTok exposes that in this raw, dirty, messy, chaotic way. And chaos is chaos. So it's like some things are going to be great and some things are not. You can't really control what comes out of chaos. So, and I think it gives people voice, especially there's this new thing that's happening recently with this young influencer, I guess. It just happened like 5 days ago. And basically she was in a relationship with this other influencer guy or something, but she ended the relationship because he has been physically violent towards her for the last 5 months. Yeah. And so she's been sharing. I can't listen to a lot of it. So there are people who do like reviews, like give you the summaries and kind of like, but she has video recordings of him punching her face and dislocating her jaw and like all this stuff, right? So, and then she's been playing back old content that she was creating. And people are saying like she was trying to tell us. Like she would make jokes. I'm like, oh, this is a little blood on my shirt. Like, don't pay attention to that. Or like her nose is just busted, and she's like, yeah, I got to put the concealer here because it's just like swollen. And so I think in terms of that, we think of domestic violence as like something that doesn't happen that often, or even any sort of sexual violence doesn't happen that often. Um, but it actually is quite common, and it
Yeah.
happens all the time. And it doesn't matter what race, education, money, whatever. It can happen to anybody. And I think in contents like that, it's like that is so powerful because now you have young women and maybe older women too who realize like, oh, this is messed up. Like you can't get it, and like learning cues about this. So in terms of that, like I think I feel the void, but I also sense this connection. And then in terms of uploading my consciousness, uh I haven't shared anything on TikTok that's like storytelling or time. Like it's always things that like I'm just kind of processing in the moment with some sort of humor. And so um I feel even though I'm on it and I make content and something is being shared and uploaded, I still feel like a detachment from it. Uh that could also be my natal chart because I have like two major detachment stars where I tend to be
Okay.
detached from a lot of things that are important to me or important to people that I should pay
Hmm.
attention to, but I can't. And then you said something really important about being imprisoned in this rebirth and birth
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you share more about that? Because then I was thinking about that.
Oh, oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. So, oh, that I could just run with this in so many different directions. But if we were to look, okay, so they call this the planet Earth, right? Planet. So because I've seen The Matrix a few couple times, like literally, like twice. Once I was outside and I looked up and I saw like a green honeycomb that was glitching, and it was like a dome.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, there's the Matrix. And then the second time that I saw it was like it looked like a net that was casted over our planet. There was like a diamond net, like a fishing net, like casted. And
Wait, were you sober during
so,
these times? Or you?
no.
Okay.
So, um, I got Damson. I'm like, why are you asking that?
Sorry.
Okay, but
Well, because I experienced a glitch once, and then I was thinking like, oh, I love how you went to like I'm experiencing a glitch because when I experienced something similar, and I'm like, I think I'm having a stroke right now. So that was it. Okay, go
okay.
on.
So with that belief, we are trapped in this net. Okay, this plan net. So following that idea, this would be a prison planet, meaning our consciousness is always stuck here. And we are tethered to this planetary system, our souls and our spirit and consciousness, forever, unless we break free of it. And
Mm.
how you get stuck here is when you basically enter into a contract with the net system, with the matrix. So, for example, like we may be the AI of another civilization, like our human biologics, right? And we're seeing like AI right now, our rendition of it in lifetime here, which is honestly just a loop because we're understanding that going to space is just part of our birthright. Like we always did that. It's just people are finally waking up to that and like reclaiming that human always did. So anywho, so people, people are getting cloned. They have like that Neuralink where you can get like chips implanted into your cervical spine, and it will like fuse with your consciousness. You know, it can like act as your consciousness in your brain. Then we have AI. And I believe that when you do this, you are saying yes. You are entering a contract into the planet system with the belief that you will live forever, when actually you're saying, yes, I want to be trapped here. If you break free of the system by not engaging in AI or, you know, these platforms that are on the metaverse, and you're more like off the grid or out in nature or whatever, then you are breaking free of that cycle, so that when you pass away, you are no longer in contract and you get to leave this planetary system and travel to other planets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this thought. You know, is that more clear?
Yeah. I think I have a different thought around that.
Yeah.
A couple things. I did not think this is what we were going to talk about in this episode. So hopefully I can verbalize what I'm thinking about. Um, a couple things. I tend to think that we have a lot more free will in terms of like, I don't see this rebirth and birth death cycle being imprisonment or tethered into it. I think we have a choice and it's a lot more fluid. And then I think in this time and age, this is where our world is going. And so part of it is to be interactive in that way. And I'll give you a counter example, because I live in the Pacific Northwest. And so this area is full of people who want to go off the grid and live, you know, in the middle of the forest, grow their own vegetables, live with no Wi-Fi, nothing, because, you know, it's too much. But I think in this time and age, for somebody to do that, that's not where it's almost like, I don't know if that's all healthy either, because it's like it's going so against the natural rhythm of what's happening in this time and space.
Yeah.
And I think what we're supposed to learn is, how do we exist in this time and space, in this planet, while this technology is happening simultaneously? Not to like push it away and be like, I'm going to go off the grid and not deal with it. It's like, I think it's much more complex as, how do you exist as humans and how do you connect with one another and experience everything that nature has to offer, and simultaneously be part of this digital age, because it's here for a reason. This energy is here for a reason. And I think denying it is like going off the other end. Like being totally consumed with it is one end, and being totally against it is on another end. And I think what we're being asked to do is, how do we exist in this middle and be a little bit more fluid?
Yeah. No, that's a cool perspective. I mean, this is the age of Aquarius, right? So we're in this Aquarian period. We're in period 9 within Chinese astrology, and there is emphasis on like technology and the infrastructures there. We're seeing a lot of trends with like cryptocurrency. AI certainly taken off. I think quantum's the next trend as well. And so, but I feel, okay, our souls like agreed to come here in this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a very unique period of time. And at some point, right, we said yes to this experience right now. And so I feel like, though, we all have a mission. I mean, this is like what you and I, why we even first started this podcast, but this idea of like a birthright and legacy. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? And then we talked about Taoism and being on your path and what you're meant to do, and how we want to have longevity so we can realize it in this lifetime. And so everything, though, I love what you said about the balance, of course, but I also think that there always exists that the two poles, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's when we saw the thing that blew a lot of our mind in the East Asian medicine world is that still shot of quantum entanglement. It was a yin yang symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when that came out?
No.
And so that very well, okay, so I don't know, within the past 12 months, there was a still shot taken of like atoms in quantum entanglement,
Hmm.
and it was a yin yang symbol, Tamsin.
Oh, that's
That's
cool.
what it looks like. Yeah. I mean, whew. So, which is just to say that the polar opposites are always going to exist, the people off grid and the ones that are really leaning in. And then of course there's going to, as in movement of the yin yang symbol, there'll also be the ones in the middle. So I think everyone has their own contract on what they're supposed to do and to find that balance. Um, but I also feel like there, so if we feel like we're actually avatars and like uh our human body like is I'm an avatar to something else. I don't know if some people that are controlling the avatars want a certain amount of people to stay on this planet as an energy source to feed on,
Hmm.
where they don't want people breaking free out of the matrix because suddenly they're losing that energy source. And so there is incentive to keep people plugged in to the matrix system, to keep them trapped in this planet, to keep them as sources of energy to feed off of.
Yeah.
Okay. But
So Paige, when I send you all these audio texts and you don't respond back to me, is it because you're thinking about these things in your backyard?
probably. And I'm just like, is this Tamsin or is this the person controlling her avatar?
Oh wow. I love where your brain goes. Huh,
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way. There are weird tech stuff that like I'm not into. Like in Seattle, because we have a bubble here. The last few years at Whole Foods, like you have this option to scan your hand. I don't know if you have this in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, absolutely not. I am not
Yeah.
doing that. I mean, but there was a moment where like, oh, that's so convenient. Like, like I don't even carry my wallet anywhere. And
Yeah.
um I find that interesting because like I've been looking for a really good wallet for like 5 years, like the perfect wallet, because wallet in Korean culture signifies so much. It really signifies wealth, and how you buy the wallet, who buys it for you, and how you receive it it's a very energetic thing. And
Yeah.
wealth, I don't mean just money, money, yes, but so much more is invested in this under this idea of wealth. And so I've been searching and searching because I've been on this like healing my wealth wounds. But at the same time, and I found one that's really nice, but I'm like, but I never carry my wallet. I do Apple Pay for everything. And so when I saw that hand scan thing, there was a click in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's so convenient. But then I'm like, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think so with technology, yeah, but like you said, every place and time, there has always been this duality, right? When you were saying that, I was thinking like the era of colonization. Like
Yeah.
it feels the same. It's like we're moving into this new world. And period 9 is very much about technology and moving fast because it's related to the fire element. And fire is such an interesting element because it can burn things, but it also creates life. And so,
Well, in an instant, it can grow and jumps. It
yeah,
jumps like freeways, like that's wild. And it
yeah,
can just jump and grow in an instant
yeah,
and be at your doorstep like before you realize it, like it's,
yeah. And so I think that really goes back to like all of this is out of control almost, out of our control. And so the only thing we can control is ourselves. So I can
yeah,
see when you get sucked into this void, it's so easy and it's so magnetized, very seductive. That's the word I was looking at. It's
yeah,
incredibly seductive. And we're going back to thinking about the influencers and pushing products. Like, I think it's wild on TikTok. I haven't quite figured out how it works, like TikTok shop and like these live events where they're selling things. But the way they sell, it's like this feels very cheap. And it's crazy because I'll see the same product on Instagram, and I always thought that was like a high-end product. And then I'll see it on TikTok. I'm like, this looks like some Walmart cheap thing that you
Yeah.
can buy. Like, and so I think all of this is incredibly seductive. And when things are being seductive, you yourself have to be super grounded and not get
Yeah.
so picked up by the flames of the fire,
Yeah.
and ground yourself.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing about fire, right? It's like you can't take your eyes off of it. It's
Yeah.
very hard to take your eyes off of a flame. And I think that's the like what you're saying, whether it's the products, whether it's like the hot young influencers, or whether it's just doom scrolling on your phone. It's like so hard to take your eyes off of it.
Yeah. And even this idea of
Yeah.
connection, like
Mm-hmm.
um it may not look like it, but I have very strong digital boundaries. Like, because I always see this as work. So my work is so tied into my personal life and the things that I'm going through personally, but I'm not sharing things that are deeply personal and intimate. It may seem like it, but to me, it's not. I've either processed it or I'm detached from it, and I feel
Yep.
safe enough to share this with you. But I do have, like, I've had friends before who don't like stay in contact with me for whatever reason, but then they like know what's going on, or they think they know what's going on in my life because they follow me on social media. And it's like, no, man, that's a business. Like, but I can see how other people on social media, like your followers, really feel connected to you, deeply connected, not just you, me, but anybody who uses social
Right.
media. And they think they know you. They think that you're their best friend, or they think that they're
Yeah.
friends with you. And I think that's really a dangerous thing that we always have to check. Like, you can't have this like parasocial like relationship with a person online.
Yeah. Well, so the interesting thing is we're seeing a lot of people being exposed and like a collapse of the facade and people playing different characters. Like you saw that one mother who had a YouTube channel all about parenting and like conscious parenting. And I think she's like in jail now. And like her
Yeah.
children came forward, or it was discovered that she was abusing them. Or you'll get like an influencer that is like selling this like quote unquote love and light type of a lifestyle, and then someone will come on and be like, I went to school with her, she was the meanest bully ever, and she, you know what I mean, like it's so interesting. But I think what you're saying is true, and it's those things that can be like a danger for people if they really believe that they're connecting with, I don't know, another representative of a person, like that it will show up for that moment.
Yeah, it goes back to
Yeah,
this idea of
yeah.
like, because they're talking about something similar that you're going through, you're like, oh my God, this person understands me. And then you start to follow them. And then
Mm-hmm.
you don't see their flaws. Because I'm sure with in those two cases and so many other cases, there were signs that people
Yeah,
consistently missed, right?
yeah,
But if you are grounded in yourself, in your soul, in your spirit, it's fully grounded, right? It's so funny we're talking about this because yesterday I saw somebody who had um like this excessive fire energy, and it's been bothering me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, I can't stand people whose fire isn't rooted. If there's one type of archetype that it really gets to me, it's that type of archetype. But if you're not grounded, deeply grounded, rooted, so firmly rooted, you miss all of these signs. And then you get into the void, and it's like you're just being kind of brainwashed, or not really, not brainwashed, but maybe not being fully present, right? Because it's strange, because sometimes I follow these influencers to see what they're doing. And the feeling I get with a lot of these famous influencers is that I definitely get mean girl bully energy, or mean popular jock energy.
yeah.
And I find it interesting that other people don't see it. I think it's kind of obvious. It's like in the little things that they say.
Right. But those were the people that were also really popular in high school because they were mean, in like an awful way. Like when you think of
Yeah.
Mean Girls and then they just go and use that same qualities to become popular on social media because it worked.
Ugh. Yeah.
But we're seeing more exposure, like the whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit. That's been like a big kind of like people are waking up to who people truly are. And I think that's cool too. Like there's also, with this, so we're here on this during this time, and like our souls are here on this planet for expansion, right? The expansion of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And technology is just trying to mirror that expansion. So get us all on the metaverse. So the metaverse can also expand. So it's like this Earth universe is expanding in consciousness. The metaverse also needs to expand in consciousness, because what you and I talked about in a previous episode, it's that balance, that yin yang, and how they are interdependent on one another, right? But at the same time, for some things to expand, like a fire that burns down a forest, systems also have to collapse for new ones to be rebuilt and then for them to be expanded. So I am seeing a collapse of Hollywood and celebrity culture and that system or pillar collapsing. And something else is going to be born from it. And that's really cool.
I think the problem, though, what I've been seeing is that things are being destroyed. The other thing about fire is that, yes, it burns things out, but it also illuminates things for good or bad. You can't even, you can't decide, but everything is going to be illuminated. And I think my favorite illumination is all these Chinese manufacturers saying, guess what? Your Gucci bag, your Louis Vuitton bag that you thought was being made in Europe because you like white stuff.
A French farmer or whatever. Yeah.
It's made here. It's made here. And I just listened to this Chinese manufacturer go on this rant of basically saying, Americans, you need to start a revolution because your government has been lying to you, profiting off of you. And we, China, also profited off of you. But we took that money and we built roads in our country. We built education systems, schools, but they took everything from you and they didn't give it back to you. And it was like and I was like, oh, this is so period 9 energy, really? And it's very snake energy, very blunt. Like very real, matter of fact, right? And so I think that is the biggest illusion of luxury goods, of just being like, it's not even like we've been completely brainwashed into thinking that this is somehow better. And then when you buy this, you are better. You are different, right? And so fire is all about illusions, but I think it also goes back to the snake year of like, we are supposed to be practicing discernment, like figuring out what discernment even means to us. And then I think the way to cultivate discernment in your body, and at least this is how I'm doing it, is that I am trying to make that connection of my feeling and my gut and my intuition shorter, that pathway shorter.
Yeah.
So things that I feel gut-wise, like my body, and then I feel it in my intuition, this like sixth sense that I can't quite explain. And then being able to logically understand what I'm feeling. These 3 pathways, it's like for me, it's longer, but this year I want to make that shorter and shorter. So I feel it in my body, I feel it in my intuition, and I can tell you why. Or even if I can't tell you why, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I know we're kind of coming up on time, but I want to say a couple things about that, about what you just said with the video and the Chinese manufacturers and all that stuff.
I was so curious to know what you were thinking.
Okay, 2 things. One is I'm a little surprised that people are surprised that this is how it was happening. I was like, how did you really think these things were being made? I mean, did you really think someone in Italy, like in a villa, was hand sewing something? Like, in my head, I'm just like, you have to be kidding me. Like, who actually bought that like lie, that marketing, that illusion that was being sold for $38,000, but it actually cost 1,600. Like I'm talking about a Birkin, right? So that would surprise me that people actually thought that this was like happening.
It's
The
so
other
much
thing though that
deeper,
I
right? Because it's
yes,
like,
yeah,
so you think white hands making this somehow makes it of a higher
exactly,
quality than a Chinese person
exactly,
making this? Yeah.
right, yeah. And then, right, like the farms in Italy that produce the wool to make the thread, like even the sheep
Sheep.
are better than the sheep
Italian
in
sheep.
China.
This is the Italian sheep, right? And this is the
Yeah,
Italian cow, right? I don't want a
right.
Chinese cow.
Okay, but I also think ultimately there's going to be a collapse of luxury goods because people
Yeah.
are really understanding the illusion of just like, oh, we're just paying for a label to be like branded on or painted on or like stamped on. And I think that ultimately is going to be good. But there's a long process in the meantime. Um, yeah. Okay. But any other, this is so fun, Tamsin.
I
Any
know,
other
so
like
random.
closing things? Like, how did it happen? How
Well,
did we
I,
got into our own void.
I know. The other thing that I wanted to say last minute, going back to metaphysics, right? Like we're in this period 9 energy where things are being destroyed. We're in this transition of period 8, period 9 still. That's why it feels like this, like, and it has
Yeah.
to. Like things have to, when we transition into a new era, a new energy, we're moving into a new energy, right? That's pulling us in. So all these people who want to go back into the old world, which I'd love to talk about in another episode, it's gonna, it's like good luck. Like this energy doesn't really care about what you think. It's energy. But and you talked about destruction. I do think, and we're not doing it enough. Simultaneously, we have to be building, and I don't see
Yeah.
enough people building, and I don't, and so what's gonna happen, and I see it in my city, is that things get destroyed, and then it's gone, and then we're left with nothing. We're left with shambles. And so it's like we need two groups of people. We need the people who are going to continuously destroy this old paradigm, but we also need this group of people who are building it. And I think that's the reason why I'm so passionate about what we do and where our business is heading, and especially with this podcast, because it's not just us like chatting. I do think that we're trying to build something new. And I think that new thing, what people are, we should focus on has to be related to the fire, which is connection, intimacy, vulnerability, love, harmony, joy, laughter, art, culture, all of that. Because that's the brightness of society and culture in any time
Yeah.
period. And
Yeah.
I hope we get to see more builders as things get destroyed.
Right. Well, and we understand period 9 ruled by the middle-aged woman. I think that's the builders. Those are the
Yeah.
builders.
Yeah.
So we're going to be engaging with them.
Yeah, so
And
brands
yep.
start getting 40-something-year-old influencers rather than 20-year-olds.
But give us an hour heads up because we need to figure out how to get logged in.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Okay, Tamsin, this is so fun. We will keep chatting more.
I love this. All right, bye everyone.
Okay, bye. Well, that's it for today. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend and give us a review to let us know how you've been navigating your beauty journey. You can also follow us on Instagram at Beauty Birthright Pod and say hello.
To learn more about face reading, Batsa astrology, and seasonal living, head over to elementalarchetypes.com and follow me at Elemental Archetypes.
And to explore beauty through your own hands, visit yangface.com and follow at yang.face for tutorials, Chinese medicine theory, and candid thoughts on cultural appreciation.